How attached are you to the outcomes whenever you embark upon a new endeavour? One of the things that I see very, very regularly is that people get very, very, very attached to the outcomes, and then when the outcome doesn't work out in their favour, when it's not commensurate with the effort that they put in, that there's a lot of despair there. There's a lot of less than positive emotion there. And what I really want to try and impress upon you is that sometimes the effort is never going to get you to the outcome that you're wanting. You could put absolutely every single bit of effort in as possible. You could do all the preparation. You could really lean into it. You could get a coach. You could set things up for success. You could get professionals, and you could do whatever it is depending on what it is you're trying to actually achieve. And the effort just doesn't match the outcome. It doesn't work out the way that you were anticipating, the way that you were planning, the way that you were hoping for. And then, as I say, that comes with some particular types and styles of emotion. It can be confusing. It can be dejecting. It can be disappointing. There could be anger that comes in from that, based on the fact that you had did everything that you thought you had to do to almost guarantee what the outcome was going to be. And that's the gap. That's the gap. There's never, ever going to be a guarantee that your effort will actually match and be commensurate with the outcomes that you're hoping to get. Yes, you're going to give yourself a better opportunity to gain success, to really give yourself that chance to predict what's going to happen in the future. But the truth is that you just don't know what the journey is going to be like until you're on it, until you get to the end of it, until you actually see what the outcome or results were. And that's where I see a lot of people getting stuck. So when you start with the end in mind, which that's not a bad plan to really get yourself off the ground from, it's really a situation of saying, that's the intended target. That's really where I want to get to, but who knows what it's going to look like. Now, some things are going to be more predictable than others, of course, things that you have done numerous times before, things that you have absolute expertise in, things that people can give you some level of guarantee based on their expertise and experience. But again, the outcome might not end up being the exact way that you wanted. So if you know and understand what that looks like prior to doing it, even if you don't know what the outcome is going to be, but if you know and understand that it might not look exactly what you hope it's going to look like at the end of the day, you can at least give yourself some mental preparation in and of the moment to say, with all of the effort, with all of the planning, with all of the endeavour that I'm putting in the early stages and the diligence that I'm going to promote and employ during the event in and of itself, there is a better chance that I'm going to get the outcome that I'm hoping for, but it still might not be a guarantee. And we'll just see what that looks like through the journey. To then move forward with purpose and intention and integrity so that you can start to say, what am I doing in and of the moment? Am I commensurate with the plan that I have in place? If not, why not? Have I deviated in some way? Are the results that I'm getting throughout the process not in keeping with where I thought I was going to be in that moment? Or maybe they are, but you're still in some way maybe subconsciously veering off in another area. So it's really just trying to get yourself to that level of understanding that it's never ever a guarantee, even if you've done this thing 100 times before, because quite honestly, there are no guarantees, none. The effort, the preparation, the endurance, all the things that you have done to get into game mode, to get into performance mode, to get into production mode, still might not work out the way that you want. It might not be enough. And it could be through some new advances in technology. It could be through some weather events. It could be through some madness or craziness from individuals or organizations that are involved. It could just be a complete and utter devastating fluke that happens throughout the process that you're following. And that's what you have to be prepared for. But just to know and understand that the effort that you're hoping should get you to the outcome might not. There was never, ever, ever, there is never, ever, ever, ever a guarantee that you're going to get what you believe to be the intended outcome, no matter how much work that you put in. And here's the thing though, from a journey perspective, when you get to that point at the end state, when the outcome isn't what you're hoping it was going to be, or what you were anticipating and planning that it was going to be, you can get disappointed, you can get dejected, you can get upset, you can get in any other frame of mind that would be commensurate with how you're feeling in and of that moment. And let's take it for a second and think about, this has not worked out the way that I wanted, and it's worse. Because it could be better, of course. It could turn out better, and then you're thinking, well, that's amazing. Look at me, I'm ace. And then you move on from there, and that's brilliant. Congratulations, good for you. That might actually end up being the case now and again. But sometimes, most times, many times, it might not work out the way that you were wanting. So then, what do you look upon the disappointment as? Do you look upon the disappointment as a defeat, as something where you're thinking, well, I'm a loser. That was never ever going to work out. I knew that when I entered into this anyway. Things like this don't work out for people like me. And then you just kind of mic drop and walk in the other direction and never do anything about it. Or do you then start to say, right, okay, what actually happened, and what steps did I take during the journey that got me to where I got to in the end, and start to analyze it now. This is not an opportunity or an invitation to beat yourself up in any way or engage in any sort of negative self-talk. That's just nonsense and a literal waste of time. What I'm really saying is, yes, I'm disappointed, acknowledging and validating the feelings in and of the moment. Don't push them down, and then start to work out why things worked out the way that they did. Now, you might have to employ some external help to come in and do a bit of an audit of some description to give you information that maybe you can't see if you're a bit too close to it, or there are areas that you just don't have expertise in. But start to really look through the journey in and of itself and say, I'm going to extract as much information from this experience, from the planning stages through to executing, through to the outcomes that were produced, to then say, what can I continue to do next time that were serving of the endeavour to get to the outcome? What things would I have to maybe just spend a wee bit more time analysing, getting external help, getting better training in, getting different equipment in, or plant or machinery or whatever it looks like for you? And then what are the anomalies in there? There's no guarantee that the second time you do it, it's going to be better and it's going to be absolutely brilliant and get you to the outcome you want, but you could get closer to what you want. Now, you might say, I don't have time to iterate and iterate and iterate, and that could be the case. That could be the case in and of the moment, depending on exactly what it is. Now, let's just say that you have to mic drop. You have to walk in the other direction. And you don't have any choice to be able to do that because there are some external pressures. There's maybe a customer waiting, or your boss is leaning over your shoulder or something like that. And what you can maybe do then, in a bit of a panic, is you could walk away from the scene of a learning. Who wants to do that? You went through everything that you went through, and then you're going to walk in a different direction and not extract any of the learnings from there. Please, please, please don't do that. Take the information, take the honest information that's presented itself to you, and use that information for yours and others' good as you move forward. And then you're in a much better position because there's valuable data in there, and then it's an opportunity to get it a wee bit more right. Not very good English, I know, but to get it a little bit better and a little bit closer to what you actually need to do to get the successes that you're hoping for in the future. So when you completely attach yourself to the outcomes that you're hoping for, and don't really pay too much mind about the journey and about the effort that you're putting in, and about the pitfalls that you can or can't see, and the risks that may or may not be prevalent or present or obvious to you in and of the moment, you're kind of walking forward with one eye shut, or you're not paying the right and requisite amount of attention that you should be paying to give yourself that chance to be completely clear and have that clarity each and every single day as you're moving forward. Yes, you're moving forward to a target, which is the intended outcome, but knowing and understanding that the journey in and of itself towards the outcome is just as valuable, if not more, as you're actually moving through. So start to think about that right now. Think about something for right now that just didn't go your way, something of late. It doesn't need to be catastrophic or monumental, but something that you thought was going to work out in one way and it worked out in another way. And start to think about why that was. If you haven't dissected it yet, or if you've maybe done a wee bit of a retrospective or a lessons learned, or just ruminated on it for a wee while, start to think about what your reaction was in and of the moment when you realised the outcomes weren't what you were intending and hoping they were going to be, and how you took that reaction. Did you walk away? Did you fold your arms and say, well, that's it, there's no point in ever trying this again? Or did you actually genuinely go and do some dissecting and do some analysis and some research to say, what can this teach me? What can I learn from this particular process, from this particular outcome, from my actions and reactions during the process and when the outcomes presented themselves, to glean those little bits of information to say, this worked, this did not work. I was not my best self then. I wasted a wee bit of time on that. I really overdid it there. I am really proud of how I managed and handled that there. There's going to be so much rich and valuable information and data for you in and of the entire experience that it would be such a shame to waste any effort, because honestly, there is no such thing as waste when you're having experiences like this. When you're maneuvering and moving forward into the desired outcomes, you have so much rich data and experience that you're having each and every single day, each and every single interaction, so that you can move forward and say, that was good, I enjoyed that, these people are fun to work with, these people are a drag, you need to give these people this information in this way, these people are a wee bit quirky, but boy do they do quality work. And you've got all that information which you can capture, hopefully in writing, for future endeavours as you move forward, to see, know and understand all the nuances of the journey that you have went through to get to the desired end state. There is never ever ever such a thing as wasted effort. Yes, there may be something afterwards where you say, that was actually pointless, we didn't really need to do that to get to where we wanted to get to, or we can't follow that process again, or that was a bust. That still doesn't mean it's wasted effort. It means that you now have information that you didn't have before. And that's absolutely key. Based on that information, these are the decisions that we will make in the future. So the next time that you're setting yourself up for a specific outcome, start to think about what the effort looks like, what the journey within the effort looks like, and how you're going to pay attention, pay more attention, pay more detailed attention as you're working through the journey, to give yourself the opportunity to be learning incrementally at each and every single step. And when you get to the end, even if it works out exactly as you're hoping, or as I said earlier, if it works out a wee bit better than you were hoping, or it doesn't work out at all like you were hoping, that you learn the lessons each and every time, you gain the growth from that each and every time, you communicate to the people that you need to communicate to. Of course, you look for the positives, and then you understand, appreciate, know and adopt the growth that is inherent within it each and every single time.